you've rolled your film, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you can get the water to be 68 degrees. How you're going to do that is you turn it on. This right here turns the water on and off to the main water. These you can turn on whatever hose you want it to be. And then here is your hot and cold. So this direction will be cold and then this direction will be hot. It's actually a little cold, so I'm going to go ahead and turn up the temperature just a little bit. The reason why we want 68 degrees is if you process your film with the water colder or hotter, it will have an effect on your exposure and the contrast and the density of the negative. So we want to make sure that 68 degrees keeps it so that the film will be at the right temperature, processed correctly, because it's all time-based. The chemistry is already at 68 degrees, so we don't have to worry about doing anything with that. If you're mixing chemistry as you're processing, you'd also want that to be at 68 degrees. Now that my water is the right temperature, I went ahead and turned it off. You don't need to have the water running constantly, and once you get it to temperature. Also, as we're working back here, we are gonna wear gloves. So back over here, there's this box right here. This is where you can pick up gloves. I have two different types of canisters that you might be using to process your film. We have, this one takes 1 roll of film. So this is 8 ounces. This one takes 2 rolls of film, and this is 16 ounces. If you're just processing by yourself and you only have 1 roll of film, I highly recommend using this one. If there's no 8 ounce available and you only have 1 roll of film available, then you can use a 16 ounce, but you still need to put in 2 reels. You want to put the reel that has the film in on the bottom and the empty reel on top. That way, if you for some odd reason didn't fill your canister up with the right amount of chemistry, your film will still be properly processed. So the first thing we're going to do is we just follow these directions right here. We're going to do a water rinse first. Once from the water rinse, we're then going to add developer, which is this canister right here. Depending on your film, the time for the developer will change. And you want to do developer first because that's what's actually going to develop the film that is light sensitive. Is going to take off the silver and make it so that you have blacks and whites and stuff like that. Then we'll do another water rinse. From the water rinse, then we will do the fixer. Makes your film able to be put out in light. So if you do the fixer first, which has happened, your film will be blank. So water, developer, water, fixer, and then also we'll do hypo and photo flow. You got your temperature 68 degrees. We're going to do a water bath. Just hold this kind of at an angle to let the water come in. And when it's full, which it is, we're going to put the cap on so that the water doesn't come out. And we're going to set the timer to 1 minute. And I'm going to agitate consistently. And agitating is kind of rotating your canister like so for 60 whole seconds. What this is doing is it's kind of getting the film ready. It's getting it wet so that it's ready to take developer. It might be cleaning off any dust or debris on it so that we don't have that showing up in our picture. Another reason you want to agitate is you want to make sure that the chemistry, or the water in this case, will get all through the film and make sure it is equally developed. And then when that minute is up, you're just going to go ahead and take the lid off your canister, and we're just going to pour the water out. I have my chemistry developer pre-measured out. I'm going to go ahead and pour it from my measuring cup into the canister, the tank. I want to hold it at an angle because what that does is it helps make sure the air gets out without making any big bubbles and spills, and it pours in pretty easily. Once all my developer is poured in, I'm going to put the little cap on, and I am shooting ISO 400 film, so that's going to be 8 minutes is how long I'm going to process it. The times for your film will be, remind you, are on the developer tank. It's 7 minutes for 100, 8 minutes for 400. I don't recommend shooting one of each and then processing them together. I recommend processing them separately because they do take different times. So what I'm going to do for the first minute is I agitate fully, just like we did with water wash. And then after that first minute, I'm going to agitate every 30 seconds for every additional minute. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Another important thing to do is when you get to the point where agitating is we do want to, during that breaking or that waiting time, we do want to tap the tank on the sink. Because what that's going to do is that's going to release the air bubbles that might be sitting on the film. And you don't want air bubbles on your film because that will have an effect. It won't be properly processed. Okay, so I got that first minute done. Just kind of tap around. And now I just have to wait. So at the 30-second, for every additional minute, I'm going to agitate those last 30 seconds. So I'm to that 30 seconds. Now I start agitating again. The reason why we agitate is we want the film to get chemistry in every little part of it, and agitating helps speed up that process. And if you accidentally didn't pour in the right amount, agitation could also make sure that the film gets processed. So I'm coming up to that 0, so I'm going to go ahead and tap again, and I'm going to repeat that until my time is up. Okay, I'm at my last 30 seconds, which is great. So I'm going to agitate, and at 10 to 5 seconds of your last 30 seconds, you can go ahead and dump out your chemistry when you're done. Now developer, we can just pour down the drain. It's not a big deal. Developer is a once use only. Once you've used it, you can't really use it again on another roll of film. Take off this little cap and dump out the developer. So my next step is going to be to do a water wash twice. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my tank up with water and then set my timer to a minute. And I'm going to agitate for the full minute. And I'm going to do that 2 times, at least 2 times. You can go up to 3 times if you're really worried about how well your film is going to process. So while I'm agitating, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can and can't do. So you can dump the developer down the drain. That won't hurt anything. The one we do not, and I can't express this enough, we do not want to dump the fixer down the drain. And the reason why we don't want to dump the fixer down the drain is the fixer will remove the silver off the film. And silver is a heavy metal. So if we dump that down the drain, what we're going to be doing is we're going to basically be polluting. And we're putting heavy metals into our water system. And when people drink heavy metals, it stays in their body. So we don't want to do that. So you're probably wondering, what do I do with the fix when I'm done? Well, we have these jugs that we will recycle the fix through. Also, fix is something in which we can use more than once. Developer, you use it once and then you're going to get rid of it. But fix, you use it until it is what we considered exhausted. So that's another reason why we don't need to dump it down the drain, is it will get more than one use out of it. All right, so here is my second water wash. And then once the second water wash is done, I'm going to go ahead and do my fixer. Now on the directions it says we fixed for 6 minutes, but actually the type of fixer we use now is 8 minutes. So you want to make sure that you go by the times that are on the chemistry tanks, because those are the accurate times, and the directions are when we use a different type of chemistry. Also, before I go ahead and put fix in my same little measuring thing, you do want to make sure that you rinse it out with water, just so that there's no extra developer in it from the last time that you used it. In fact, you guys are going to be in charge of cleaning up after yourselves, so make sure you rinse everything off. And there's special places that I will show you that you put your film, your canisters and whatnot when you're finished. I'm going to come over here with my measuring, and I'm going to grab 8 ounces of my fix. Don't want to use the tank to measure out our chemistry because we want to make sure we're accurate in what we put down. Now the fix is going to go into the canister for 8 minutes. I'm going to angle my tank so that the air will release as I'm pouring in my fix. So I'm going to pour in the fix into my tank. Again, the fix we do not put down the drain. So if you have any extra fix, what you will do is there's these brown jugs in which this is where we will pour the fix in when we're finished. So the fix is in, put my little cap on, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this at 8 minutes. And just like with the developer, the first minute, I'm going to go ahead and agitate. So after this point, what's happening is the silver is being taken off the film, because the silver is what is light sensitive and made the film light sensitive. So once that is removed off the film, we can look at the film in normal light. And just like what we did with the developer, once we're done, we are going to tap the tank around to release any air bubbles, and then we're going to wait 30 seconds. So for the rest of the time, we're going to agitate only 30 seconds for every minute. All All right, so I'm in my last 30 seconds of agitation. And the last 10 seconds or 5 seconds, I can actually dump the fixer or chemistry out of my tank. Since I have a little one, I'm just going to do it at the 5-second mark. Do not put fixer down the drain because we can reuse it, and it's also polluting because it's a heavy metal. So we have these brown jugs, and with the funnel, and you just pour it straight into there. Now my next step is I'm going to do another water rinse, and I'm just going to do one. So I'm going to fill this up with water, and then I'm going to go ahead and agitate this for a minute. So one thing to know is if by chance you go to dump the fix down and the brown jugs are full, there's 5 jugs we use, please let one of us know, Jane, a worksteady, Anthony, or I, and we can empty the tanks, or empty the jugs I should say. Don't be like, oh, they were full, so I just dumped the chemistry down the drain. No, 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 no. It's okay. The fix can stay in the tank if it has to. It's not going to hurt anything if it gets in there longer than the developer. The developer is really more time sensitive. You just want to make sure you put enough fix in there to make sure that it won't slowly start to churn over time. All right, so now I can go ahead and I can actually take the top thing off because my film is totally safe to put in light, and dump out the water. I'm going to dunk my reel of film in the hypo, and I'm kind of doing this by hand, and really you just have to do this every 30 seconds. This is one you do not have to do for a full minute. So I'm just going to do this at the beginning for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to rest. You dunk in the hypo clear between 2 to 4 minutes, totally up to you. At least do 2 minutes. What the hypo does is your film has a little bit of a purple haze to it. The hypo is going to remove that purple haze on your film. I'm just going to hold it because I'm afraid if I drop it, I'm going to spill chemistry. If any of the chemistry is low before you get started, or the jugs are full, please let us know. We can make more chemistry, so it's probably a very good idea to check the stuff before you get started, so you're not in the middle of processing and you realize, oh, I don't have any fixer or developer, and that might have a chance of affecting your film and your processing. So the people to know about any of that would be Anthony, I, Christine, or Jane, or Worksteady. And then when you're finished, you're just going to pull the reel out, let it drip out the extra chemistry so that we aren't, we're not wasting it. I'm going to put my reel back into the tank. The second to the last step is going to be a 7-minute water bath or wash or rinse. What I've done with these is you actually can position the hose to run water constantly. You can be cleaning your other canisters, your measuring container. We do want to make sure we rinse off everything and put it out to dry. So you can do that with the second hose while you wait. So my film has finished going through a wash, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip it into the photo flow. So I'm dipping it for 30 seconds. This is kind of like a soapy wash. We do have hard water here in Wyoming in most places. So what I'm basically doing is kind of washing off any hard water residue that got on my film, any dust, anything like that. So I'm just dipping it up and down. It kind of makes them, pleasantly fun soap suds. And when it's done, again, just kind of let the extra stuff shake it off, and then I can take the film out of the reel. I am going to go ahead and take off one glove because what I like to do is when I get my hand a little wet in the sink a little bit, is I like to pull my film out. So you're just going to kind of pull your film out like so. You can kind of get a sense. You can look up into the light. Slowly. Do not let this touch the floor because this floor is dirty and this film is wet and you'll get dirt on your film and you'll be very sad. All right, so I'm gonna hold this one with 2 fingers. I'm just gonna come through here and take off any extra suds or water so that it doesn't dry with it. And then my last step is I'm gonna go ahead and hang it in the closet. To do that, we're just gonna put a clip on the top, and then I'm also going to put a clip on the bottom just so that will prevent the film from curling too much. It kind of weights it down. And then when you're finished, you just go ahead and close this door. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my glove back on, and I'm going to clean up my mess. So I'm going to rinse all my tanks, just run water through everything, and where you're going to put stuff to dry is right here. So this is where we're going to dry the stuff. It is your responsibility to clean up after yourself. If you do not clean up yourself, and it's discovered, you'll have to pay some pretty heavy consequences. It takes a couple hours for your film to dry. I recommend just let it hang overnight, and then you do need to take your film out of the dryer, the cabinet yourself. We do not remove your film for you. That is how you process black and white film. Woohoo! We're done!